Meta data scientists make anywhere between $167,000 to $1.1 million per year. Today, we're going to be working on a SQL interview question featuring Meta so that you can start making some of that sweet, sweet Meta money. I'm Jeremiah, I'm co-founder of InterviewMaster.ai. We have helped over 13,000 data professionals prepare for their data science interviews, and we have over 1,200 five-star reviews. Today, we're going to be working on an easy Meta featured SQL interview question. While this is not going to be exactly the kind of question that you'll be getting on a SQL interview for a data science position at Meta, this is a good warm-up to get you towards that end goal. Okay, let's get started. If we look at the problem, we can see that our product manager of Facebook Marketplace wants to better understand how items are priced across different cities. First question, can you find the average item priced listed in each category on Facebook Marketplace? We want to be able to understand the pricing trends across different categories. Let's talk through our thought process, but before we do, let's first look at our listings table and get a better sense of the data that we're working with. So if I come here, I can explore data. I can see, okay, well, we have multiple New Yorks, we have multiple Los Angeles, multiple San Franciscos. Okay, so we are definitely going to be running a group by to be able to get the average price across different cities. Okay, let's read the problem for today. Your product manager of Facebook Marketplace wants to understand how items are priced across cities. Can you find the average price of items listed in each category on Facebook Marketplace? We want to understand the pricing trends across different categories. Before we get started actually coding, I just want to get a good sense of what are our inputs and what are our ideal outputs. First, for our inputs, we'll come over to this Explore data and we'll just get a look at it. Okay, so we've got New York, San Francisco, New York again, price, different IDs, different categories. Oh, okay. Great. Well, we know that we need to be able to get a good sense of the different categories here. And we know that each category may have different prices. So we know that we're going to have to run a group by. I personally like to think about it in terms of outputs and inputs. So our outputs will be category. This is going to be grouped. And average price. Not too bad. And our inputs have categories and price. So we know that we're going to have to use a SQL function on price in order to get the average price. Let's interact with the voice just so that we can talk through our approach. I like talking through it because it seems more like an interview and I can talk a lot faster than I can type. So when I'm thinking about this problem, I'm thinking about it in terms of outputs and inputs. I know that our outputs that we want should be categories and average price. I also know that our inputs include categories and price. So I know that I'm going to need to run a function for average on price. I also know that there are multiple instances of different categories for different price items, multiple rows. So I'm going to have to group by those categories. I also know that just in general, if I have a non-aggregated function with an aggregated function, I'll need to use a group by, but in this instance, it's going to definitely be necessary. For just the sake of coding, I could also sort by average price, just so that it's very easy for the product manager to get a good sense of the different size relatives. And for now, I believe that's everything that we need. Does that seem right? Did I miss anything? Did I make any assumptions that were incorrect? And I'm going to send it off. And we'll see what the response is. Okay, thought process is on track. You mentioned sorting by average price. Good idea for clarity, although not strictly necessary for the problem. Fair. The only thing to note is that you don't need to use a coupon. Maybe you meant coalesce or something similar. Or maybe it just came out incorrect in the transcription. Yeah, there you go. I think I said order by. No worries. Or group by. Okay. Well, regardless, let's get started. Next, I'm going to change the engine from SQLite to Postgres. Personally, I just like Postgres more, and I know that it's used a little bit more in the industry. So I'm going to select categories, category, And I'm going to get the average price from listings group by. Now, I like to just group by one, which is just group by the first column. You can label it 1, 2, 3. That correlates with the different columns. You could also just write out category. And again, just for hygiene, I'm also going to order by 2, which is the price, and descending. So highest to lowest. Now I'm going to just test it out first. Okay, this looks fine. Then I'm going to run it. All right, great. So I don't think that this query needs to be optimized. This isn't it's not the most complicated SQL query. However, later on, when the problems do get a little bit more complicated, I'm absolutely going to consider clicking this button to see if I can get some optimization support. For now, I'm just going to go on to the next question. All right. So which city has the lowest average price? This will help us identify the most affordable cities for buyers. Interesting. So this actually sounds a lot like what we just did. The output would be cities and average price. We are using an aggregate function, so we should use a group by. And maybe this time, instead of sorting top to bottom or highest to lowest, we are sorting lowest to highest. And because we just want to know what is the absolute lowest price, we can also just limit it to the first row that comes back. I think in a business context, you might want to not limit it to just one, just so that your product manager has a better sense of the different opportunities, and how those opportunities might relate to one another. But for this instance, we're just going to limit by one. All right. So I'm going to just explain that. This problem sounds a lot like the previous one. The outputs appeared to be cities and average price. The inputs, again, also going to be city and price. We're going to have to group by in order to group by the aggregate prices. And we will also need to order by, but instead of descending, it will be ascending. So we get the lowest value at the top. Then, just for clarity's sake and sanity, to answer the question as the question is framed, we'll limit by 1, just so that we get the absolute lowest result back as the only result. Did I miss anything from this approach? Okay, and I'm going to send it. Okay, we're spot on. Let's get going. So very similar to last time, we're going to just select city, select average price. Also, you might notice I have this syntax structure. I personally picked this up while I was an analyst at LinkedIn, and I just like to have my SQL look a certain way. And so you'll see me do a lot of spacebar and this is another instance. I really like to have my, commands being on the same line visually. I'll even, when group bys come, sometimes base out my select just so that everything looks really nice. Group by, okay. And then we take one space away. And that looks great. Yeah. Listings, group by 1, city, order by 2, average price. And then this time, because we want the lowest value, we're going to order by ascending. And then finally, we are going to limit by 1. Also, again, just a meta comment. I really just, this makes it a lot easier to read SQL, especially when it gets really, really long. Consider looking at some different SQL writing patterns and adopting one that you like, and just explaining why you decided to write your SQL that way. Okay, so we see that the lowest average price is Los Angeles. One other thing just to do as good habit is to just also put an as and label this average price. I didn't do this last time, but I just noticed it. It will make the output look a little cleaner for your reporting. And now we'll run it and see how we did. Wonderful. All right, we got it. And that is our first problem down. Please follow for more. We're going to be going through an entire series of these problems and looking forward to seeing you in the next one.